have already taken 3 local governments right now. So what do? I think the best thing we have to do is to listen to the governor, and at least the Nigerian military have to move in and help him. If we have to use PMCs, that is fine, as long as the job is done. I know there is a national pride in not employing PMCs, but I think that's what we have to do, because you allow them and they continue taking local governments and putting their flag in the different local governments is just not acceptable.
Boko Haram, especially targeting military formations, has given the authorities in Nigeria's northeast Borno state some serious cause for worry. The insurgents have carried out deadly raids on a number of military bases in recent weeks, destroying or looting military equipment in the process. Concerned by the resurgence, the state governor called an emergency security meeting to review the situation, and he didn't hold back.
It seems we are losing ground. There's urgent need for aggressive military action and actionable intelligence to counter the insurgency. The recent attacks on Sabongari, Damboa, Wulgo, Baga, and Mongono point to the need to up our ante in confronting the Boko Haram insurgency decisively and swiftly. We should not grant breathing space to the Boko Haram to regroup, rearm, and carry out attacks on our territory.
Until recently, it had been relatively quiet in Borno State, the heartland of Boko Haram. The military had pushed back the insurgents and degraded their capacity to carry out attacks. But security experts say recent attacks on military targets indicate the group may have successfully regrouped. However, despite the recent setback, the military says it's on top of the situation and that the counter-terrorism operations against the insurgents are yielding results.
On 27th and 29th March 2025, scores of terrorists comprising adult males, adult females, and some children surrendered to troops within the theaters of operation following the ongoing onslaught on them by our gallant troops. Equally, between 27th March to 1st April, troops in conjunction with Hybrid forces conducted offensive operations, including fighting patrols, raids, and clearance operations in Bama, Goza, Kaga, and Konduga local government areas of Borno State. During the operations, some terrorists were neutralized and others apprehended.
The governor of Borno State, while commending the efforts of the military, says more still needs to be done in the face of the recent escalation.
Right now, we don't have single attack helicopter in Borno State. These attack helicopters were taken away from Borno State to the southwestern, northwestern states. We are not saying no. While trying to maintain law and order in northwestern state, they should also not be unmindful of the northeastern state.
The Borno State government has been carrying out a massive resettlement program of displaced persons. It now fears that if the resurgence in Boko Haram attacks isn't quickly curtailed, it could seriously disrupt that resettlement initiative and further compound the humanitarian situation.
Trying to remove Jonathan, there were stateless persons that were from the Sahel region that were imported into Nigeria, and a former chairman of PDP made that statement. I'm not the person that made it.
But that importation is a fact, is it?
That importation is a fact. What has happened in Nigeria is that most of the time when something comes up today, we never sit back and say, how did we get to this point? We got to this point by virtue of the fact of the effort to remove President Jonathan. There had always been this herder-farmer clash, but it never got to this point where whole communities were exterminated so that some people will be roaming freely within their land, which is what happens in Plateau and in Benue State.
I think Benue is the worst hit.
Precisely. Yeah. And you know why? Because most of the banks of the Benue is lush. Because it's watered by the Benue River. And so they want, these people came and they want. And who are these people? And that's a question that we have not dealt with. The bill first said that we have to confine these people to the ranches within their states of origin. And somebody woke up and said, no, every Nigerian has a right to go around. There's no such thing like a state of origin. Why will anybody make that statement? Reason is that in trying to remove Jonathan, there were stateless persons that were from the Sahel region that were imported into Nigeria, and a former chairman of PDP made that statement. I'm not the person that made it.
But that importation is a fact, is it?
That importation is a fact. If you ask any Nigerian Fulani, he will tell you that there's something called the Bororo Fulani. And that Bororo Fulani are these imported ones. They don't own land. Therefore, what they want to do is to settle in Nigeria. They were given free passage, let me just say it, by the Buhari regime. And we were shouting at that time, don't bring people into Nigeria who are not Nigerians. They won't have sympathy. They won't know what has happened. All they want to do is displace you, take over your place, and roam freely within that place.
But there were cattle herders as well.
They were, but the Nigerian cattle herders were not carrying AK-47 rifles and other.
So these guys brought their guns.
So these guys brought their guns with them. First thing they did was to start to rustle the cattle belonging to Nigerians. And so a Nigerian herder who loses his cattle has nowhere else to go. He becomes part of them because he is given okay, you either join us or you got nothing. And some of them, of course, joined. And so we have this complicated problem. And this complicated problem is what we want to solve by saying, can we confine you to a particular place? If you have, okay, what you want to do is to move your cattle from where there is grass to another place where there is grass, and you can roam around with them. And I also pointed out on the floor of the Senate that Governor Ganduje at a particular time said, my state, Kano, has more than enough land for all the herders in Nigeria to go around with it.
Now, you listen to what Abaribi said, Senator. Abaribi said, good. You know, all this was to, see, this is what greediness can cause. Greediness. Always after grabbing power. This is what you get. Out of greediness to remove Jonathan, that young man who made way for this country, who did these people nothing. This is what, because they want to remove Jonathan from position, from power, they want to remove Jonathan from power. This is what it has degenerated to. This is what has cost to Nigerians. Removing the person that was doing well from power. This is where we now find ourselves. Do you understand? When Jonathan were proposing tenure elongation that time, that there's no need of second term, just do 6 years instead of 4 years. Then after 4 years again, do another 4 years again. It's a waste of time, material, everything, conducting election every time. Let's do tenure elongation. 6 years. Once you win presidential election, after 6 years, you go. Then another person come. They said no, it was not good. Fine. Then Jonathan did first term. They said it was not performing enough, that he needed to go at that time. PDP. He needed to go. That's when Tinubu swing into actions with Buhari to do everything humanly possible to remove Jonathan from power by importing this election machinery or election machinery to work against Jonathan. Today, These same people they imported into the country to fight Jonathan is fighting them. Today they lost control. They can't do it. They can't fight these people again. They can't ask these people to leave this country again. Where is Buhari today? Buhari is not talking again. He's not talking, saying anything about it again. This is what greediness can cause to Nigeria. Can cause greediness. This was what Jonathan that was doing well. Suddenly, Wale Soyinka become an activist. All manner of names. Adeboye, on the other hand, Tinubu at that time was bashing Jonathan. They import all those. A lot of people have said this before, even Rufai, former governor of Kaduna State, yeah, and a lot of people said this before. What this man is repeating, telling you now, this is not to say. This is not story. They are not telling stories, no. But today, these people they brought to Nigeria refuse to leave Nigeria. Now they are trying to create state on their own because they don't have where to go. You import them, you refuse to pay them. After the job well done, you refuse to pay them. That is the same Nigerian mentality. After winning the election for you, you succeeded. What are you supposed to do? Pay them, order them to leave the country. No, you not give them where to stay inside bush. They are there now. Now they are plenty. They get married. They import people. They are all brother, sister. They are all family to come. They needed a place to settle down. That's why they are chasing people out of their homes. Now our leaders is not doing anything about it. What irony. Now, internet does not forget. Listen to this. In 2016, this is 2014, right? Now, let me tell you this, show you this. This was what Tinubu said during Jonathan. In 2014, Tinubu blamed Jonathan for Christian deaths. Now, president, he told Governor Motan to take responsibility. The insecurity then, in 2014, Tinubu blamed Jonathan for Christians' death because Jonathan was the president. Now, the one that is happening in Plateau State now, Tinubu is blaming the governor of Plateau State to tighten up the insecurity. He does not want to take the blame. No, he's not the one. It's not the fault. It's not his fault. What a word. He's blaming the governor. Then let's go. Let's go on again. See, in 2014, that's it 2014, Tinubu, he said the entire nation has lost its trust in the ruling party, PDP. It is a challenging time and we have to be very careful. Now, this is the most challenging time. That was 2014. Tinubu said this to Jonathan. It is the most challenging time. We have to be very careful on making decisions. Now, again, say 2014. This was January 29, 2014. The slaughtering of Christian worshippers is strongly condemnable. It calls to question the competence of Jonathan to protect Nigerians. Now we are also calling, because this one now is questionable. We need to question the competence of Tinubu to protect Nigerians. Now Nigerians are dying. See, the people that lost their lives within the space of 2 years, you cannot even compare. You cannot even compare. So if we leave Jonathan, if we still have Jonathan as a president in this country, all this problem will not have been going on in this country. This insecurity that we're talking about in the region or the whole, we will not have been talking about this. I hope you understand. And now they use every means to take over from Jonathan just to cause pains to Nigerians, taking power from Jonathan. Then Buhari came and set this country 50 years backwards. We are trying to recover from the 50 years backward. Buhari set us. Now Tinubu can continue with the legacy of Tinubu or Buhari's failed government. Continue with the legacy. After all, he said it during campaign that he's going to continue from where Buhari stopped. And everything, that's what Peter Obi will say, everything he promised that he was going to do is exactly what he's doing. By taking Nigeria to another 100 years backwards. Only God knows when we are going to come out of this, because the problem is even bigger than him. Now, as we speak now, Tinubu cannot solve the problem because the problem is bigger than him. Now he's blaming state governor of his failed responsibility. This is a country where everything these people fought against then, today, is repeating. Internet does not forget. Hey, Tinubu and Wiki, everything they fought against in those days, today they are the one fighting. Just imagine. We're here. Buhari came and he just came just like that in the name of I want to be president. I want to be president for you. I want to be president for you. What single thing? What has Buhari done after taking over from Jonathan? What has it done better than what Jonathan did? In 6 years, Jonathan stayed. 2 years of Yaradua and plus his 4 years. So what meaningful thing, what has Buhari done differently that better the lives of Nigeria? Rather than this insecurity, or these people he imported to Nigeria that refuses to leave this country, that is causing problems to us today. What has it done? Today now, is it not the same thing? 2 years in office now, Tinubu, what has it done meaningfully that you could say in this area he has done well, that we should give Tinubu kudos? Anyways, he said it. Everything they fought against them, what is happening today. So, please share this video.